Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another installment of Community Chats. My name is Saul Barragan. I am a library assistant at the Arroyo Seco Regional Branch, and today I'm being joined by Hilda Guerrero, librarian at Science, Technology, and Patents Department. Hi, Hilda, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're really excited to talk to you today about a new program actually that hasn't been unveiled yet, but will be unveiled soon. So let's just go ahead and get started. Hilda, can you tell us about the Gardening Club?
Yeah, of course. So the Gardening Club is a collaboration between myself and Ryan Peña of the Info Now department.
Right.
And we started it because I got into gardening and I realized, you know what? Gardening is, first of all, very therapeutic, fun, and very important, I believe, to especially Angelinos. So we decided to start the gardening club. And the gardening club was going to be a once a month meeting. And it's going to be at the Spring Street Community Garden, which is off-site actually. So it's a few blocks away from Central Library. So I'm really excited about that because we get to collaborate with another organization or another space outside of the Central Library.
What's been the process like for you so far?
The process has been, first of all, we had to plan it. We had to come up with what exactly it is that we wanted to do. So we thought of, well, okay, we want to have a gardening club. What exactly do we want to show people? So we thought, well, we want to show people how to grow food, grow herbs, things that they can use and eat. And from there, we thought, okay, well, how are we going to set it up from there? We thought, okay, we're going to do it once a month, once a week, twice a week. And we thought, okay, well, let's do it once a month. And Ryan actually found the community garden and he reached out to the organizer of that community garden. And the guy whose name is Marty, he was super excited. He was like, yeah, I would love to work with you all. I would love to give you all a plot, which is a little garden bed. I mean, it's not that little. And yeah, he's super excited about getting the library over there and getting patrons over there, getting people to just put their hands in some soil and grow some things.
That's awesome. Well, you're talking about a little bit about the partnership. Can you tell us a little bit more about what they do? What are some of the things they've done?
Right. So actually, the Spring Street Community Garden has some really amazing ties. Actually, they are right across the street from, I believe, the LA Times building, and they help out people on Skid Row. So they have collaborated with them, and they actually helped the Spring Street Community Garden to set up their stuff. So they had LA Compost come in, set up their compost bins. They had this organization that works at Skid Row come in also and really give a lot of advice. So they're really in the community and really getting people from all over downtown LA to come and start gardening.
This program is really visionary in the sense that, it really kind of bring something new to the community that probably they haven't had. So I really wanted to ask you, what was the motivation behind this program?
Well, the motivation behind it is, first of all, the aspect of giving people a skill that I believe is really important, especially now, especially for people of color and people who have, they're limited in resources. We talked about food deserts and how in a lot of different neighborhoods, you don't come across things like farmers markets like you would say on the West Side. You don't come across organic stores. You don't come across Whole Foods. So just having that skill, and I'm not saying it's on a large scale, but at least to be able to grow your own, say, tomatoes is great. To be able to grow your own rosemary to put on your dishes is just a great skill in itself. And I feel like it would inspire somebody to go further. I mean, you can go as far as you want. You can just stay with, a couple tomatoes, maybe some basil, some rosemary, or you could go all the way. Who knows? Because once we give people this skill, they could go, the sky's the limit. Oh, my mom, when I was growing up, was the green thumb in the family. She could plant anything. And from when I was seeing, I thought, well, she's just planting things and kind of watering whenever, and things are just growing and flourishing. Therefore, she must just have that magic touch. And that in our communities, in the Latino community specifically, we do have that belief like, oh yeah, so and so has that touch, that magic green thumb, and it's just wherever they do, it grows. And I had that idea of her as well, but then I realized, oh, she was paying attention. I mean, of course, my mother is magic, but she was also paying attention to the plants and what they needed. This plant likes shade. This plant likes full sun. This one likes very rich, moist soil. This one likes sand and it likes to be dry. And it's just a skill that you hone over time. And for me, I've learned a lot of things from failing in the gardening area. Gardening was just a part of my big vision that I have. And it did motivate me. I thought, well, if I can grow my own food, that would be fantastic. But what if I could teach other people to do the same thing that I'm also learning myself? Because I think that people often think that you need to be an expert already in order to tell other people, you know, hey, this is really fun. You should try it out. I know a couple of things about it, but I don't know everything. But I do know that I can reach out to other organizations or other people, and they would love to teach you all to plant stuff, and they'll love to teach me how to grow my own garden as well and expand my knowledge.
One of the things that we like to talk about, take the lead, is also inclusiveness, not only in terms of staff, but also in terms of community. So I know that you also participated in the state parks program, which for many of you already know, which allows patrons to visit California state parks for free. So it's funny because generally we think about gardens and parks and it seems like the perfect match. But like I mentioned, we don't often have access to a lot of these things. So how do you see these resources affecting patrons?
The state parks and gardening have some of the same roadblocks for people, where it's, you know, we're talking about accessibility. You know,
Right.
we have the state parks where there's all this nature in Los Angeles. You hear people say, oh, there's no nature in Los Angeles. You can't go hike. There's nothing to do there. All you do is hang out in cafes and little bookstores and cute little things. And that's great. But there's all these mountains around us. We're literally surrounded by mountains everywhere. The San Fernando Valley is surrounded by mountains, San Gabriel Valley, you know? And we have things like the Angeles National Forest. We have Will Rogers on the west side. We have the Santa Susana Pass. We have Kenneth Hahn as well. We have so many state parks that are around us, but for some of the public, it's just not accessible. The Parks Pass program gives people that accessibility. You know, you get to be able to say, hey, I want to go up to the mountains. I want to hang out there, just immerse myself and have just a nice meditative time. And you could take that pass, you know, get a ride out there somehow, and be able to enjoy the things that other people are just able to, people who have more privilege are able to enjoy as well. And it's so important, especially to the people who don't have that resource. It's the most important for the people that are low income to be able to get into nature, because there's people who say in the San Fernando Valley, there's teenagers, and I've met them before, that have never been to the beach.
Right. Yes.
And you think, you know, it's something that's a given. You live in Los Angeles, live by the coast, you just go to the beach. But there's kids, even adults, who have never been to the beach. And there's that issue of accessibility. And we think, oh, with trains and cars and Ubers and all that, you think, and a lot of times it is really just telling people, hey, did you know that this exists? Did you know that this is out there?
Right.
And then they're just like, what? It's amazing. Let me check that out. And actually, back to the gardening program, I know I'm going back and forth, but it's hand in hand, because we actually were able to secure a speaker, and he is a fantastic therapist who came up with this idea called the planted brain. And he works with nature therapy and talk therapy. So he's a therapist that uses gardening and nature in his therapy. So he is doing a presentation for us in the gardening program as well. And that goes hand in hand where he's going to go ahead and tell us exactly why it works to feed our brains as well. He also thought it was huge that, you know, for people of color, accessibility is an issue in therapy, it's an issue in gardening, it's an issue in nature, it's an issue in camping. You know, that's something that frequently, you know, even growing up, people used to say, oh, that outdoor stuff is for white people only. And that's what a lot of people grew up believing, but it's for everybody. It literally belongs to us. The nature belongs to all of us. We are actually planning some programming that has to do with the state parks and nature. So for example, one of the programs that I'm planning is for somebody to speak on mycology, AKA mushrooms, and how important they are to the environment, how important they are to us and bioremediation as well. And kits to be able to go stargaze and go camping for people. So being able to camp is another, you know, privilege. Tents, gear, all that is expensive. You go to a sporting goods store, those things are expensive. So
Yeah.
the parks programs, not only the passes, but the grants that we're getting have been so, they're just an amazing tool right now for us. And we got a lot planned for the public. Crystal, the other person, Crystal Messer, who did the grant as well, she reached out to some of the park rangers in the area. Yes. And the grant, the California State Library actually provided us with a list of people as well. So we just reached out, and yes, they said that they would be happy to lead a few walks, because, you know, a whole long hike might be a little too much for some people.
Of course.
But they did mention that, yeah, if we do talk to them and we do plan it, where they can lead a little nature walk, which would be great for the public, because you have a park ranger who knows what they're talking about
Right.
to lead you through your nature walk or hike.
It's a really exciting idea. Thank you for talking to us about this. But now I actually have some questions specifically geared towards you. How would you describe a leader, and do you consider yourself a leader?
I would describe a leader as somebody who is able to inspire others to collaborate to get to an end goal or vision. And would I consider myself a leader? You know, by those standards, sure. You know, it's hard for people to say, yes, I'm this or I'm that. Yeah, sure. Yes, I think that we can all be leaders. You know, we can all inspire others to inspire others. So I think that as librarians, that is kind of our role, is to be leaders.
Do you have any advice for others who are motivated to create their own community programs, just like you?
Yes, I do. I would advise anybody who wants to create their own programs and who may be, you know, in doubt or wondering how to do it, where to even start, is the main thing to do is come up with your actual vision or goal. What do you want to do? What do you want to give back to the community? And then from there, start a whole plan. Make a plan for yourself. Find out if you need some sort of funding. Do you need funding? Can you get it? Or can you find connections within the community that will help you out by donating time to you? And from there, really just go and do it and try it out.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hilda, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for checking out the programs that are coming up.
All right, everybody, take care. Thank you.